What's going on, guys? Injoltl here with another random video. For any of you wondering why I haven't uploaded, it's really just a laziness issue. Whenever I try recording, I don't have anything to talk about, and I know Let's Playing hasn't been working out, so I'll still try Let's Playing as much as I can, but I'm gonna try to do videos like this where I just pick a topic to talk about and I'll figure it out. I'm gonna have alright, and for the decline in videos, once again, my laziness, I've been playing a lot of games recently. Some of the ones I could list off are One Piece Unlimited World Red, Shin Megami Tensei 4, there's Game & Wario. So I could have a review on one of those soon. Leave a comment of which you would want a review on. Also, I just picked up Elite Beat Agents. So, I got it for like $2 offline, so I'm gonna pick that up, see how that is. So, if you leave a comment, I might review one of them. So, as you can see by this fancy graphic, it's Pit shooting off an arrow, classic Pit, not the new one. That's too hard to make a graphic of. But yeah, if you couldn't tell by the title, this is a video about how I think Kid Icarus could work as a tower defense game. Basically, anyone who's ever been on my channel knows that Kid Icarus Uprising is probably my favorite game ever. That's a fair thing to say. It really is. It's so great. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the diversity between weapons. So you could like go between levels, use different weapons. Some could make it harder, and then you could just kind of challenge yourself with the difficulty. So, I was thinking to myself, Pit's a commander. They make that fairly clear. Pit is a commander. However, they never really, show him commanding troops. I mean, he kind of does in the original and 2. And, oh, forgot to mention this. If my audio sounds weird, I'm recording in not my basement, so if it sounds different, that's your reason. But, Kid Icarus 1 and 2, you kind of controlled troops. I mean, you kind of got the hammers, got the Centurions, and then during the boss you use them, but that's not really what I imagined commanding troops for Pit would be like. And then in Uprising, I guess you kind of get to see a little of that with the Centurions, like, carrying the platform in Chapter 18. And that wasn't Chapter 18, that was Chapter 17. And then Chapter 18, you get to see Pit's body commanding the Centurions. So I was wondering how it could really work for a game where Pit is commanding the troops. And I think I found the way, and that's through a tower defense game. I think most people who are watching this video have at least played some tower defense game. Ideally, the first one that comes to mind for me is Plants vs. Zombies. It doesn't really seem like a tower defense game, but it is. I know a lot of people play Pokemon Tower Defense. That's cool, but I think a tower defense game would really work for Kid Icarus. As you can tell by the classic Pit, I wouldn't really want it to go by the Uprising storyline. I'm not going to spoil anything, but, I'd rather go by the classic formula, Pit Medusa, or, actually, this would be a great place to bring back. Let me look up how to pronounce this. I'm not even going to. I believe it's Orthos from Kid Icarus 2 Myth and Monsters. But I think this would be a great time to bring that, I guess, storyline back. Because if they were going to make a Kid Icarus 2, I'd love them to have that. I did like Kid Icarus 2, not as much as 1, but for a tower defense game, here's how I'd imagine it. Oh, and this could be compared to my, let me fix something on the graphic. But this could kind of be compared to the Ice Climber video I made a while back, in which I was listing ways that the Ice Climbers could come back in a Captain Toad format, which, by the way, I didn't cover it, but At E3, they did show a new Captain Toad game, so I'm cool with that. Not gonna get an Ice Climber game, most likely, but I'm cool with that. So, I'd imagine it... Wait, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Captain Toad, filling in the graphics. So, yeah, Classic Pit, I'd want them to go by that storyline, Medusa, all of that. It'd just be easier. They could take enemies from Uprising. They could use Viridi for all I care. But here, bottom line, here's how I imagine it. You play as Pit, but you don't actually play as Pit. And my graphic is still messed up, so I will still talk and do this. Basically, as Pit, you would command the Centurions, obviously. How would you do that? I feel like it would be some sort of grid in which Pit places Centurions, and then obviously there's not enough light troops to work with. Because what is there? Palutena. Let's undo that. But there's like, I don't even think Palutena would work. You might be able to use some of the powers. Like in Plants vs. Zombies 2, when you get the certain powers. But basically, how I'd imagine it is, basically you just get a bunch of Centurions. Maybe the strong arms and all that would be like an upgrade, but you're probably wondering, how would that make a tower defense game fun? Like, Plants vs. Zombies has all these different plants you could use to make different strategies. Well, I have something to say about that. There's one thing they introduced in Uprising that I already talked about, but I think it could make a tower defense game. And that was the addition of multiple weapons. Because in that game, you had the choice of not only using a bow, like the old game, you could use blade. I'm doing this off the top of my head. So blades, bows, claws, cannons, arms, palms, staffs, orbiters, and there's one more. God. It's probably the one that I use all the time. Blade, cannon. Cannon or club? It was club, yeah. So you had the addition of all of those. Why the hammer wasn't one? Like, why it was club and not hammer? When hammers were already an item in the series, that's beyond me. But you could, from what I could imagine, you would be able to equip the Centurions with the different weapons. For example, if you had, hold on, I'm gonna need to stop. Alright, sorry about that, I got a call. But, basically what I was saying when I left off was there could be the Centurions, recap of what I was saying, the Centurions could have the arms, the bows, all that stuff, and it could depend how they do it. Like, in a tower defense game, there are, once again referring back to Plants vs. Zombies, you could have, like, the pea shooters, which are long range. You could have the dragons in Plants vs. Zombies 2. I forget what they're called. I'll have to look that up sometime. It might be, like, Dragon Snap or something like that. Snapdragon, I'm not sure. But they covered a large range. The, Bok Choy, it was very melee-ish, but did a lot of damage, so I think that would be interesting, because obviously, like, with Kid Icarus Uprising, you could have the claws, which are the fastest weapons. Do they shoot the fastest? I think... No. I'll go by what I know by fact. Clubs would be the strongest with melee. Arms and claws could shoot off if they needed to, but they could also melee. Obviously, arms being the slower but more powerful, and the other one, obviously, the opposite. The staves, you could put them in, like, the back, and then they could snipe, and it would do more damage, depending on if they're in the radius of where you could hit. Bows, you know, all that stuff. I think it could be interesting, and then, obviously, they could approach the boss mechanic and weaknesses, like, in Kid Icarus Uprising, you would get certain weapons depending on if you got treasure chests. and they would have certain effects. So maybe this game would work like you need to pay hearts to get the Centurions, but you could also buy weapons, and the weapons you could auto-equip, but you only have one of each, obviously. And maybe they could have special effects, like in Uprising, some of them would be able to turn enemies to stone, some of them would poison, some of them would paralyze, and how that would translate in the game would be like some of them could turn the enemies to stone and have them stop advancing, some of them could make the enemies go slower for the paralyzing. The poison would make it do more damage. Obviously, obvious things, like it doesn't take a genius to figure out what I'm saying, but it's an idea I haven't seen anywhere on the internet, and that's why I kind of wanted to share it. Because, like the Ice Climber idea was a little more common, but I think taking Kid Icarus to the next level, and I think in terms of pricing and all that, this couldn't be a very lengthy thing. I feel like it would be eShop game, $20. Like, that's what Inazuma 11 is. It could be the same length, and then maybe there could be like a multiplayer. I don't know how that would work, but it might. So, I'm not going to end this. I'll just spew off a few more ideas. There could obviously be like different sides. Like, you could maybe take up the underworld forces and equip the, I forgot their names. God, what are they called? They're the generic enemies that, like, I think they're called Sculptors. I'm not sure about that, but they're the generic enemies that usually carry the staves, and they could, like, have your HP or whatever. Or they have the, like, cannons, and they could shoot at you. You could use those, I guess, if you were, like, taking up Medusa's forces. If you were taking up Viridi, you could probably do that. No, I think it would just be, like, all different troops for something like Viridi. And that's the reason I like the concept so much. And specials, like I said, they could be the powers. You could, like, have for Palutena's army, the Heavenly Light. You could have, probably for the Underworld army, the Black Hole. The Mega Laser, I don't know, any of them. It's just an idea that I guess I just thought of, and I looked it up, and no one's ever thought of it. And that's why I think it might work, because when you put games in awkward situations where it probably won't work, it most likely... Alright, that's a lie. It most likely won't, but with something obvious like Kid Icarus, where most of your attacks are range, but you can do melee attacks, it's like a no-brainer. Why would you not have a Kid Icarus tower defense game? And especially with, like, the actual towers in the game, so to speak. You could be, like, protecting Palutena's temple, the Underworld castle. I don't know, for Viridi, a Reset Bomb Forest, for God's sake. If anything, it would probably be, wow, I really need to replay Uprising. I used to know the name of everything, for God's sake. I knew or should I say, for Palutena's sake, but, I knew, like, every line in Chapter 1 when the game first came out. I don't know what happened, but the, Lunar Sanctum, maybe you could be protecting, the Reset Bomb Factory. And then there are more obvious ones, like, there could be maybe custom levels where you could do, like, the Chariot Master's, tower. That probably had a different name, but stuff like that. So, yeah, that's about it for the video. So, leave your comments on the idea of a Kid Icarus themed tower defense game. I think it could work. We should probably, like, find someone to kickstart this, make it a thing. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but it seems like something Nintendo wouldn't do, but the fans would do. And that's why I think this is a good idea. I feel like the fan ideas tend to sometimes be a little more original. Like, Shovel Knight, I haven't got to playing it, but I have been watching a playthrough. All of its designs are oddly original for an indie game, which I'm not saying all indie games aren't original, but, you know, it takes all those core elements from a platformer and blends them perfectly. And I really feel like a game like this could do it. So, I don't know, if you're a Nintendo rep watching this video, go crazy, use this idea. Don't even give me permission, or, like, reference me. I'd just be cool with the idea, because, honestly, this would work. I've said this probably 3 times already, because I'm running out of things to say. But this would work so well. Especially with the amount of enemy, and that's an annoying siren in the background, but with the amount of enemies in Uprising, and the amount they could do, well, most of them were brought back in Uprising, but the amount of classes you could have, maybe you could put Pit and Dark Pit on the field as the commanders. Heck, there's probably some MMO aspect I'm looking over, but, not MMO, but online multiplayer. It could really work well. And that's why I'm making a video about it. So, next video I should have... Alright, like, comment, subscribe. No, I'm not going to do that, but if you like the video, I guess you could just tell me why you liked it in the comments. All the feedback really helps me, because although I don't have a lot of fans, my fan base is very... what's the word to describe them? Loyal... there was a word I was thinking. They're just very loyal fans. Like, my fan base I'm very proud of, because although it's not big, I feel like all my fans, like, really are supportive. So, tell me why you like the video in the comments. If you're new, I guess you could subscribe. I think I'm gonna make this promise, and I'm probably not gonna keep it. But I think for the next month I'll be covered, so this should be fine. I'm going to make the promise that I will make at least one video every month. That could be a gameplay video, that could be a video like this. I'm trying to zone more into, like, podcast, the review type stuff, but I still want to do Let's Plays. I just need to hone my commentary skills to get back into it. And just so you guys know what my next video will be, like I said, if you're in the future, this is past August 2014, this will not matter, but next month, August 12th, Koro will be revealing the whole entire Smash Bros. Roster. So, I'm going to be doing a reaction video. And we're just going to look at the roster, and you'll be able to see my first reactions. I will avoid all spoilers that day until I open up my Google Chrome on my computer, and you could see me look at it for the first time. So there you go, August 12th, new video. Maybe August 13th, because I gotta process it and everything, but I'm gonna aim for August 12th. So, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you like this idea, and if you have any, like, games you think you should be put in, like, a spin-off series with an idea like this, I don't know, maybe put Mario in a, first-person shooter, I don't know, not a good idea, but if you have a way to make it work, tell me in the comments, and I will be seeing you next video. So